Flour derived from grains has been an indispensable part of the human diet for centuries. Flour is consumed in the form of several foods such as bread, cookies, cakes, rotis, biscuits, croissants, buns, and donuts. It is one of the most widely consumed food commodities globally. Cereal grains undergo milling, a process that destroys essential nutrients that is otherwise concentrated near the bran layer of the grain. In order to restore the lost nutrients, flour could be fortified with several micronutrients. The most commonly preferred forticants for flour fortification are folic acid, vitamin B12, and iron, although a range of micronutrients could be chosen. Flour is an effective tool for fortification as it reaches a significant proportion of the global population. Many countries such as Congo, Ghana, Kazakhstan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines have mandated fortification of flour as it possesses several benefits such as provision of optimum nutrition through regular diet, prevention of nutritional anemia, prevention of neural tube birth defects, prevention of pernicious anemia. Fortified flour exhibits excellent stability when stored in optimum storage conditions. The unstable micronutrients, such as vitamins that are sensitive to light, heat, etc., could be countered by the usage of appropriate salt forms of these micronutrients. Iron is one of the most commonly preferred fortificants for flour fortification. Salt forms of iron such as ferrous sulfate, ferrous fumarate, and sodium iron EDTA are commonly preferred due to their excellent stability and bioavailability. The cereal grains further undergo a complex process of milling that converts the grains into end products such as whole grain flour, refined flour, and bran. Micronutrient premixes are generally added toward the end of the milling process when the flour is obtained, as premixes can easily blend with flour than the coarse particles. The nutritionally enriched flour thus obtained from the process of fortification can be used for the production of a diverse set of end products such as bread, buns, croissants, cookies, biscuits, cakes, donuts, and rotis. Hexagon Nutrition offers a wide range of micronutrient premixes that are compatible with cereal flour. Hexagon is capable of manufacturing customized premixes with an array of micronutrients and their different salt forms. It has developed several micronutrient premix formulations for wheat flour fortification. It has partnered with several NGOs and governments to provide nutritional solutions for flour fortification. Edible vegetable oil is an important component to cook food and adds to the taste of the food. Palm oil, rice bran oil, sunflower oil, soya oil, olive oil, groundnut oil, corn oil, and sesame oil are examples of commonly consumed oils. They are an excellent source of fat and are very rich in energy. Fat is an essential nutrient required for vital body functions such as formation of tissues, maintenance of body temperature, and brain development. The vegetable oil seeds are subject to severe treatments such as high temperature, high pressure, and bleaching with a chemical absorbent for the production of oil. Excess pressure and temperature enhances the extraction of oil, while bleaching removes the impurities. However, these processes destroy the essential nutrients that are naturally present in oil, such as vitamin E and vitamin A. Edible oil is an excellent source for fat-soluble vitamins as they are completely dispersible in oil. Thus, fortification in edible oil with the essential vitamins lost during the extraction and refining processes restores the goodness of edible oil. Fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamins A, D, E, and K are the common forticants chosen for fortifying edible oil. The consumption of fortified edible oil increases the bioavailability of the fat-soluble vitamins, as oil is an effective carrier of these nutrients. Vitamin D, also known as the sunshine vitamin, is a very critical nutrient that has to be predominantly synthesized by the body, as the dietary sources for the nutrient is very limited. Edible oil could be fortified with vitamin D and serve as an effective dietary source. Vitamin D is essential to maintain optimum bone health. Similarly, vitamin A is required for healthy eyesight, vitamin E for good skin health, and vitamin K for better immunity. Fortified edible oil has a shelf life of approximately 6 months. The appropriate selection of salt forms of the fortificants enhances the stability of the fortified edible oil. The process of fortification has a positive effect on the shelf life of oil, as one of the fortificants, vitamin E, is a natural antioxidant that increases the shelf life of oil by preventing rancidity. Edible oil undergoes several processes before it becomes market ready. The steps include the extraction of oil from oil seeds and the refining of oil to remove the impurities. The premix is normally added after the final process of refining, after deodorization, as it reduces the loss of added nutrients due to high temperatures prevailing during the process. In order to ensure uniform mixing of these vitamins in the oil, the intended amount of vitamins to be added is measured and added to a smaller portion of warm oil, 40 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, which is then added to the bulk of oil prior to blending. Hexagon Nutrition optimally satisfies the client's need to develop premixes for fats and oils that target specific markets and consumer groups across the globe. We offer customized premixes that cater to the nutritional requirements, yet also causes no effect on sensory properties of the oil. Rice is the staple cereal for more than half of the world's population. Rice is one of the major sources of deriving energy due to the high concentration of carbohydrates. It also contains macronutrients such as folic acid, thiamine, iron, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. Rice grains are collected from paddy farms and milled in order to separate the rice kernels from the outermost coarse bran layer. The process of milling diminishes the levels of essential nutrients in the rice kernel, since these nutrients, vitamins and minerals, are concentrated near the bran layer. This renders rice devoid of essential macronutrients that otherwise is just another source for a high-calorie diet. Since rice is consumed by the majority of the population globally, it is beneficial to enhance its nutrient content. This can be achieved through the process of fortification, as it replenishes the lost nutrients during the process of milling. This is a very fruitful process, as a large proportion of the global population will have accessibility to key macronutrients, such as folic acid, iron, and vitamin B12, predominantly chosen fortificants. This helps in combating the most common deficiencies such as neural tube defects, anemia, night blindness, and pernicious anemia. Extruded rice is a common form of fortified rice. It can be stored for a period of 1 year, with its nutrients staying intact within the grains. The appropriate choice of fortificants and their salt form plays a major role in the stability of rice. Rice fortification is a complex process involving the following steps. Removal of stones and impurities from rice grains. Rice grains are ground to form rice flour, which is then mixed with appropriate dosage of premix with the help of a blender. The mix passes through warm water at a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius to form a dough. The dough is exposed to steam in order to remove excess moisture. The dough is extruded, resembling the shape of rice kernels. The extruded rice kernel is mixed with normal rice kernels in a ratio of 99:1, the ratio of unfortified rice to fortified rice. The fortified rice can be cooked and consumed like regular rice. Hexagon Nutrition offers a wide range of macronutrient premixes that are compatible with cereal flour. Hexagon is capable of manufacturing customized premixes with an array of macronutrients and their different salt forms. We have developed various macronutrient premix formulations for fortification of rice.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nirupama on behalf of ASSOCHAM. I welcome all the dignitaries present here. Yes, since nutrition is very crucial for all of us, as we all know, especially during this COVID times, and fortification plays a very important role in ensuring the nutritive food to all the population. Against this backdrop, ASSOCHAM, in association with Hexagon Nutrition, is conducting this webinar series. This is the second round, wherein we'll be concentrating more on micronutrient fortification of foods and beverages. I welcome all the dignitaries once again. Thank you. Now, to take you through the inaugural session, I would now request Mr. Anil Rajput, Senior Vice President Corporate Affairs, ITC, and Chairman FMCG Council, ASSOCHAM, to give his opening remarks.
Thank you, Nirupama. I'm sorry I could not join you through the video. I'm joining you through the audio. I would like to first of all welcome all the dignitaries on the panel. Dr. J.S. Pai, Executive Director, PFNDI, Shri Vikram Kelkar, MD Hexagon Nutrition, Shri Vikas Jain, MD PMB Nutrients, and Nirupama Sharma, Joint Secretary, ASSOCHAM, panelists and participants. Good afternoon. As we come to terms with the magnitude of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on humanity, it is frankly extremely difficult to keep our motivation and focus owing to myriad new developments that have arisen for the world over the past few months in the different spheres it operates. The supply chains are today being reinvented, globalization has taken a backseat, and new economic models are being put in place by different countries, depending upon their needs and requirements. Having said this, it is also a fact that a developing nation like ours has always had consistent and serious threats from malnutrition. Malnutrition is amongst the top risk factors causing death and disability in India, according to the Global Burden of Disease Report 2017. Clearly, this has been a huge bearing on generations and impacts the health and well-being of societies. In India, 194.4 million people are undernourished. It refers to stunting, wasting, underweight, micronutrient deficiencies, or insufficiencies, and so on. The Global Nutrition Report 2018 states that India is home to 46.6 million stunted children, and this is 1/3 of the total global number. The main reason for fortification, especially in developing countries like ours, is the lack of balanced diet and absence of required vitamins and minerals from natural resources, resulting in deficiencies amongst children in their critical growth period. Therefore, availability of fortified foods and beverages at affordable prices to the masses is extremely important and requires particular attention. The addition of micronutrients, vitamins and minerals to foods and beverages can go a long way in addressing the nutritional deficiencies prevalent in our society. It is an effective and attractive strategy to combat micronutrient deficiencies, as it can reach a wider at-risk population groups with major changes in existing consumption patterns and at a relatively short span of time. Currently, food and beverage fortification is endorsed and supported by governments and international bodies like WHO, FAO, and the UN Children's Fund. In India, FSSAI had also come out with the fortification regulation in 2018. If fortification is to reach its true potential, it needs to be an all-round process, that is, in staples as well as FMCG food products like biscuits, cereal, snacks, ready to eat, ready to drink beverages, and much more. On their part, FMCG companies are increasing their focus on certain market segments and expanding their existing business portfolio with the aim of increasing the availability of fortified foods for the customers. Innovation is playing a major role for the development of quality fortified products. This is resulting in processed food being fortified with vitamins, calcium, iron, and in some cases amino acids as well. In addition, infant and weaning foods are also fortified by the manufacturers in accordance with the specifications of the ISI to ensure nutrition in the early stages of life. Here, we also have to address concerns of the companies which are actively engaged in the fortification of foods and beverages. To my mind, the most important factor is the scaling up of micronutrient content in the food products at the right price point. This will ensure much wider usage, and at the same time, it won't hurt the pocket of the consumer. It will indeed be a win-win situation for all. Secondly, certain modifications that have been envisaged by the industry, and these needs to be finalized by the FSSAI. And thirdly, some organizations are walking that extra mile and are investing in products for special dietary needs which cater to the micronutrient content deficiencies of vulnerable sections. They need additional support and encouragement from the policymaker. It is therefore important that we build transparent and effective partnership, establish clear roles and responsibilities between the government and the private sector, and ensure appropriate and balanced regulation. This will result in a more sustainable food system through the process of fortification. The challenges, therefore, are manifold. India needs to scale up its fortification process. Fortification holds a lot of potential, and with the right R&D and focus, the private sector has proven that it is willing to contribute significantly in this area. I'm sure that the government has its ears to the ground, and together we shall overcome the obstacle and emerge victorious. I would like to now leave the floor to the very well and in tune with this whole system, a panel which is waiting to share their ideas for us going to go forward. And I'll now hand over this to Nirupma to carry the whole session going. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for laying down the theme of the today's session and highlighting the importance of fortification in FMCG sector, diversity of products that are being introduced, concerns of the industry, the topic of scaling up and how it can be done in India, role of policy makers, and importance of public-private partnership, especially in the fortification sector. I now call upon Mr. Vikram Kelkar, MD Hexagon Nutrition, who is an entrepreneur in the field, has more than decade experience in nutrition, and he would like to address on opportunities that rise during challenging times. Over to you, sir, Mr. Vikram Kelkar.
Thank you, Nirupama. Good welcome address by Mr. Rajput. Well, good evening, esteemed speakers and panelists. Good evening to all participants from India and overseas. It's a pleasure for me to come back in the second webinar during the lockdown period. There's a saying about how opportunity is viewed by positive people and negative people. There are some people who convert problems into opportunities, and there are some people who, because of their negativity, convert opportunities into problems. Which group would you want to belong to? I'm sure all of us here are the people who will convert problems into opportunities. So let's discuss on what are these opportunities that are arising during these challenging times. But firstly, we should strive to understand the change for all stakeholders, especially the current and potential customers. We may have to reinvent the approach. For example, in the FMCG industry, there was a lot of ad hoc purchase done by customers, but now onwards, it will be more planned and structured purchase happening from those customers. The result may be bulk purchases at once rather than spread over a period of time. For FMCG companies selling their products, there will be more usage of e-commerce compared to the past. Online platforms need to be made more productive. There is a scope for restructuring the existing distribution network. There is an opportunity for having cost efficiencies that can be driven across the organization during COVID-19 crisis, which otherwise may not happen in good times. For example, saving on the business travels. Companies who spend lakhs and millions every month have now realized that they can save such costs by having virtual meetings. Automation is another opportunity, especially in the manufacturing, to improve the efficiency and bring down the variable cost of labor. Especially going forward, this may be important considering the social distancing norms. Another opportunity is adapting to distance sales and marketing. Why? Because the crisis has eliminated the need to make in-person sales calls and demonstrated the efficiency and effectiveness of Zoom selling and after-sales service. Distance selling is bound to be accepted even after the crisis is over. Adaptation that would have taken years will now take months. The acceptability of distance selling greatly increases the potential range and scope of the markets while cutting costs. If you fail to embrace distance selling, you will risk losing sales and customers. And how? As social distancing is likely to be needed for the next 2+ years, it is critical to quickly adapt to digital sales and marketing for many businesses. Companies need to assess the lessons learned so far, skills and tools that are required, including enhanced digital and tech support capabilities. It's essential for companies to quickly gain the digital infrastructure and skills needed to benefit. Another big opportunity is replacing the Chinese products. Many global companies are now looking to either replace or have a second supplier for ingredients that they are sourcing from China. Indian companies can become their alternate supplier. The market opportunity lies both within India as well as the export markets. We have already heard about the announcement made by the Indian government to support local APIs for replacing those from China. Similarly, there is a tremendous scope for import substitution of many other food ingredients. Nutraceutical ingredient manufacturing is another interesting area. Such companies must focus on new product developments, nanotechnology, encapsulations, sustained release, performance enhancers, and bioavailable ingredients. There are increased opportunities for CROs, that is, contract research organizations, to demonstrate their deliverables. Health, beauty, and fashion brands must invest more in locally produced goods now more than ever and concentrate on their brand heritage, transparency, safety, and provenance. Then focus on wellness and immunoproducts. Why? Because COVID-19 brings focus on health and wellness among millions of customers. The companies in this space who have built brands or have the potential to build good brands for nutritious foods and nutrition supplements can benefit from this opportunity. The pandemic also greatly increases the demand for the products that bolster the immune system. These could also be sold as preventives. These products could be sold in small, lower cost retail formats and could be sold through high-end modern retail and OTC channels. Promotional and educational efforts could be increased to sell the importance of bolstering the immune system to fight COVID. Now, during the lockdowns, we see an increase in the home cooking rather than people eating out. So there is a higher demand for branded intermediary food products. For example, the idli dosa batters that we get in packaged forms, the baking mixes, lot of baking activities happening at home. It would be even better if such products can be made healthy and nutritious. Indian companies in the food segment should consider providing enrichment with vitamins. Customer focus is now shifting more towards health, and it's important to build products that have nutrition value and health benefits. For example, nutritious fruit juices may be more preferred going forward by consumers than fizzy drinks. Then the opportunity lies in making new partnerships which can be explored with other companies to join hands and create win-win outcomes. Cooperate with your competitors for industry relief. Make associations that would work for a common goal. Think of the concept of a shared economy. That is, utilize existing resources rather than creating new ones. For example, a company has orders but unable to execute the orders and having a backlog in production. Look around. There may be your competitors or related industries that are having idle manufacturing capacities. It's time to utilize such opportunities to create win-win situations. Finally, I would like to end my address with a quote mentioned in the autobiography of Richard Nixon, the former US president. He said, "A man is not finished when he is defeated. A man is finished when he quits." The intent to make this quote was, right now all of us, we are fighting this battle against COVID, and we are neither defeated nor have we quit. And together, all of us, we will become stronger and emerge victorious. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity. And I wish all the best to the panelists and the eminent speakers. Thank you for participating in this forum.
Thank you once again, Vikramji, for a wonderful presentation. In fact, it takes me to the Darwin's theory of evolution, wherein it is, being said that one who adapts sustains. And definitely, I think our industry and all the people would be sustaining all the systems and will be adapting the digital revolution of the industry for sure. Now, I'll take on to the next panelist of ours for the dignitary for the inaugural session, Dr. J.S. Pai, who is the Executive Director, PFNDI. He is a PhD in food technology. He is also ex-member of scientific committee FSSAI. He's been leading PFNDI for so many years. He'll be addressing us on micronutrient fortification in the food processing industry and its advantages. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Nirupama. Let me begin by thanking both ASSOCHAM and Hexagon. Vikram, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. This is a new experience for me. Probably, this is the first time I'm addressing such a large gathering sitting at my home. And this is probably going to be a norm of the future. So probably we have to, as Nirupama said, we have to adapt We have to change in order to survive or sustain for the changing situation. Thank you very much. Let me begin by saying that we require, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. This has already been emphasized by Mr. Rajput and Vikram that there is plenty of deficiency of nutrients in not only in India, globally. So there are billions who suffer from various forms of malnutrition, and one of the major problems is deficiency of micronutrients. So there are vitamins and mineral deficiencies that are prevalent globally, and it is very common in India also. We have vitamin A, iron, iodine, zinc, folate deficiencies, which are very common among Indian women and children. And it is really sad to see some of the young people having all kinds of problems because of these deficiencies, because of no fault of theirs. They are getting stunted, they are having problems of development, both physical and mental, and they find it difficult to cope up with the problems of the world. Now, you can also see on the map, the green area is where there are slightly less deficiency. The dark area, black area, is where there are double or triple deficiencies that are existing. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, why do we require fortification? Because we have been hearing for several decades that our diet should be balanced. We should try to include nutritious ingredients in our meals, diets, but it is very difficult because of poverty, because of very rigid eating habits. It is difficult to change the dietary, and even if we wish, it would be not possible to feed millions of these poor people, especially the children and women, with all these nutritious foods. So the best thing that can be done is add nutrients by fortification to their diets, so that we will not change their diets, we will not change their food habits. It will be just elevating their nutritional status, and they will have better nutrients. We already have an example, iodization of salt. There were a lot of protests initially that they wanted freedom, they wanted liberty to choose whatever salt, but because of the seriousness, especially among the children who are deprived of iodine and would grow up with deficiency in mental capacity as well as physical capacity. So this was forced, and now our nutritional status, especially among the poor people, is much better, because salt is consumed by everyone, rich as well as poor. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, fortunately, FSSAI has given a big boost to this fortification effort, and they have allowed their symbol plus F to be used in at least 5 food ingredients, that is salt, wheat flour, milk, oil, and rice. And many of the companies have already utilized this opportunity to come up with some of these fortified foods with the minerals such as iodine and iron, then vitamin A, vitamin E, and the other nutrients. So this has been a very big boost that has been given by FSSAI to this effort. So I'm very happy that such efforts are coming from regulatory body. Can I have the next slide? Now, uh, what is the market potential for the fortified foods? Already, the fortified foods and beverage market is at $105 billion 2 years ago, and it is steadily growing. And it is expected before the end of this decade, we will have more than $1.4 trillion market. Of course, this is a global market. In India, FSSAI's fortification scheme has already created a projected demand for almost 3,000 crores of rupees, and this is going to grow up. Now, people are becoming aware of the connection between the nutrition and the health, and so many are willing to pay more. Especially, mothers are always concerned about their children's health and welfare, and they realize that they have to be given vitamins, minerals for their growth as well as for their better studies, so that they will have better opportunities when they grow up. So this is going to keep on increasing. I'm very happy to join you, and if there are any inputs that are required, I'll be here for. Thank you very much.
Very much, Dr. Pai, for your address. In fact, our regulatory bodies are in fact keen to have FSSAI products on board. They have already released the standards, so we are fortunate in that ways. And as Mr. Anil Rajput has said, we'll be definitely taking up all the industry issues as a whole to ASSOCHAM. So I would now take on to the panel discussion. I would now take up the panel discussion. Would like to introduce Mr. Arun Om Lalji. He's our first panelist. He has around 30 years of experience in industry and more than 10 years in nutrition industry. Under his able guidance, Hexagon Nutrition has been awarded the Best Nutrition Company by ASSOCHAM in 2017. He'll be speaking on current trends in the food industry with respect to micronutrient food fortification and challenges. Over to you, Arunji.
Thank you, Nirupam. Thank you for this opportunity. Can I have my presentation? Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank ASSOCHAM for giving me this opportunity to talk on the current and trending topic of micronutrients in this field. And because of the changing landscape in nutrition, it gives me an opportunity to talk about the balanced nutrition, which is macro and micro, and focus more on micronutrients. I would be talking about the quality controls, the quality checks, the quality assurances a premix manufacturer provides while making the micronutrients and the micronutrient premixes. Can I have the second slide, please? Thank you. Like I said, I would be talking about what the manufacturer should have if he is a premix manufacturer. You need to first have a food safety license, which is provided by the government of India, called FSSAI license. Earlier, these licenses were given online, but lately, in the last 6 months or to a year, there are third-party audit which is conducted by FSSAI to really understand the licenses given to people online are worth the game or no. So that is a very good play which FSSAI has done, and thanks to them, where we have an improvement on the manufacturers which are coming into line. The second and very important is the good manufacturing practices which is required, which the company needs to practice while making the micronutrients. We need to have FSSC 22,000 certification. Halal is now important, and it has now become important in terms of food products which are being manufactured in India. the change of slide, please. Then the manufacturer should very much have ISO 9001:2015, which is the latest certification provided by ISO. Well, the latest is now 2018, but that's still an ongoing process. But 2015 is the latest, which is really common. The kosher certification, and basically most of the companies should have an ISO 17025 and 2005, which is the capability of testing their own micronutrients or on their own products by saying, are the products manufactured or the products which are inward are worth going ahead with. Yeah. The next slide. So after talking about the manufacture, now let me talk about the nutrition. Let me talk about the macro part of the nutrition, the micro part of the nutrition. Yeah, second slide. A change of slide, please. So my eminent speakers have already focused on the macro and micro of the food. So let me just go ahead and talk about more in detail with regard to micronutrients rather than the macronutrients. Yes, change of slide, please. We talk about micronutrients basically. When we talk about micronutrients, what are micronutrients? Micronutrients are basically the vitamins and the minerals that we are talking about. Again, vitamins are divided into two parts. One is water soluble and the other is fat soluble. So water soluble vitamins are the B vitamins and vitamin C, and fat soluble are vitamins A, D, and E, K. It's very important to understand these categories of vitamins for the manufacturer who is into fortification, because it then depends upon the salts which needs to be used in these vitamins for water miscible products, for powder products, or for oily products. The next slide, please. What are the objectives? Why micronutrient premixes are important? I can even sell single nutrients. Micronutrients are important because it is basically a proper blend of vitamins and minerals which are used for fortification program all over India. They are available in categories like I said earlier: dry powder, oily liquid, and water miscible. That means if I'm fortifying oil, I need to have an oily liquid. If I'm fortifying milk, I can do it with water miscible, and the cereals and the dietary food products, I will do it with the dry vitamins that we have. We need to blend these vitamins and minerals, these micronutrient premixes, which depending upon the premix that we develop with starch, maltodextrin, or dextrose. Emulsifiers, stabilizers, and liquid and other liquid premixes are also used by as a balancing act. Premix basically, which is very important to understand, are produced in temperature which is about 25 degrees, and we require a humidity control environment. It can't be made anywhere and anywhere. It requires a proper control requirement, a proper control environment to produce micronutrient premixes. Next slide. So what are the objectives of premix development? The reason why we are talking about micronutrients is it overcomes the deficiency in today's time of COVID and a balancing act of nutrients. It meets the FSSAI requirement, like what Mr. Pai rightly said. The F logo has been allowed by FSSAI to be used by all staple manufacturers who are into flour, who are into rice fortification, who are into oil fortification, milk fortification, and salt fortification. So all these branded companies or non-branded companies can, if they are fortified, as per the standards of FSSAI, they can use the F fortified logo out there. While we are preparing the premix, the specifications have to be right. And these specifications in the right format comes from the micronutrient premixes rather than the individual premixes that we have. The other slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. So these are the advantage which is there on the slide. People can just read it through, or I can send in the presentation because we have limit on time also. So I'll just pass on to the second slide.
I think we have time. You can carry on, Arunji. We have time. We have 5 more panelists, so you can go ahead with your this thing.
Great.
You want to explain?
Thank you, Nirupama, for this opportunity. Okay, so we are talking about advantages. Now I'm talking about why micronutrient premixes and why not individual nutrients that we can work out. The reason is for micronutrient, it is the best way of fortifying food with various micronutrients, which is a mix of vitamins and minerals. We call it vitamin mix and mineral mix, which can be combined also for particular purpose. But for that, the specs have to be different. In a micronutrient premixes, we can have a uniformity in the nutrient distribution. It improves the nutritional quality of food. To be very honest with you, it is less expensive than buying individual nutrients because the specifications is well made and it is made as per the specification. It is safest and the easiest way to deliver micronutrient to the food, and it's available in unit dosage packing. So even if the dosage required is small, we can have the premix for that rather than buying bulk nutrients for fortifying the other units around there. The next slide, please. Now let me talk about the quality assurance, which is very, very important. Nutrients or the vitamins and minerals come in 3 different grades. One is food grade, which we use for fortifying the food products that we are in, the food and beverages. The second grade is the pharma grade, which is used in the pharmaceutical companies. And the third grade is the feed grade, which is used for animal nutrition. So we have vitamins in all these 3, but the grades are very much defined by the government of India. That means if it is food grade, the manufacturer has to have an FSSAI license. If it is pharma grade, it has to have an FDA license. And feed grade, even if he does not have a license, he can sell the feed grade because the potency and the assay of the particular product is not good enough to add it up. The second is the quality of premixes. So how does one assure the quality of the premixes? First, it has to assure the raw material. That means the input, the base vitamin which is there. That is usually done by certifications with the company, like I've already explained, should have, because on the basis of these certifications, the products are made. Then only the quality of the right thing can really come in, which I'll again explain in my next slide. The third, which is very important, is the quality is assured by physiochemical testing of nutrients, which is in-house. Unless and until you have a certification, the ISO certification for testing, it will be very difficult for a company to test the raw material. And if the base raw material does not have the assay or does not have the potency to give you the right specification, it is of no use manufacturing a premix, which is very important for everyone to understand. The in-house testing of the raw nutrients which come in. Next slide. So once the quality is assured of the input raw material and the output finished goods by testing, by understanding the assay of the nutrient, by understanding the potency of the nutrient, and by the certifications. How do we control the micronutrient premixes? What is the quality control that one takes in an organization? The next slide. So the quality control again are threefold. We talk about quality control while procuring the ingredients and their handling, while processing it, and the third is while packing and dispatching it. So these three components are important in a micronutrient premix which is made in any organization which is there. Like I was talking to you about, while procuring it, we need to test the assays or the percentage of the potency of the incoming ingredients. All materials have to be lot tracked. Now this is more technical, and we use FIFO method, first in first out method of the raw material coming in. Second is while manufacturing, you need to have a stringent monitoring of all production lines. We need to have about 3 lines for production. One is a wet line for oily premixes that one is manufacturing. We need to have a dry line for the dry powder premixes one is doing, and the third is the line is basically the mix line that we work out for products which are paste form. So these are different line which every manufacturer needs to have, preparing different sorts of premixes for the staple industry and for the dietary food industry. Each batch of the premix manufactured has to be tested and to be kept for stability tests. We need to reconcile and do double checks for each and every high risk ingredient. Uniform studies have to be performed for 6 months or for 1 year with regard to nutrients and the premixes one is making. And again, how the packing needs to be done depends upon if it is a powder premix, there has to be a dry laminate aluminum packing which is required. I see most of the premix manufacturers packing it in polythene packs or in single dry laminate. It has to be dry laminate aluminum packing, which is very important to protect the premixes from sunlight and other variants out there. So manufacturing and packing is very important in a premix industry. Coming back to packing, like I've said, premix needs to be again stored at 25 degrees, depending upon the premix. If it is a nutrient like vitamin A or a nutrient like vitamin D or D2, it requires -degree temperature to store. We can't store every nutrient at a particular temperature. So these things have to be taken care of while manufacturing premixes, which are very important. Next slide, please.
Gee, we have 2 minutes more to.
Yeah, give me. I presume I have just 2-3 more.
Otherwise, all other panelists will be complaining to me for their time. Please.
It is Nirupama. It is for them only. I am taking a bit more time. So we are talking about the safety. It's for the safety of the micronutrient premixes. I'll just run it through because it's basically here. People can read it, and if they require more details from me, I will come and provide in terms of email. They can email to my company and we can provide. One thing which is very, very important for me to really communicate at this point is premixes, basically the specifications that we develop are based on RDA levels. And RDA levels are different for different ages. Now, this is specified by the Nutraceutical Act, which had recently come in the year 2019, in the month of Feb, where they have specified the RDA levels for each nutrients and for each ages. So, next slide. Storage, I've already spoken about, so let me not talk in detail. Like I said, vitamin A stored at 8 or 15 degrees, and D2 is stored at about -4 degrees. Yeah, next slide. Dr. Pai has already spoken about food fortifications. So these are the five staples which are fortified as per FSSAI specification and doing fantastically well pan India. Next, and these are the specs as per FSSAI. I can send it across. Just wanted to communicate, it is hardly any costing in terms of fortifying by the packaged people. It's in paisas, which can easily be absorbed. Yeah, next. Vikas ji is smiling. This is basically the I wouldn't say new, but my co-panelists will talk more on the dietary food fortification, which has now come in, and there are basically a lot of manufacturers in the food and beverage industries who are fortifying. So my co-panelists are going to talk about it, about which industry is doing it. I'll just touch upon. It is basically the gummies industry, the energy bar industries, the tablet making, the capsule making industries, the dietary food industries in terms of cereal making, in terms of a natural plant nutritional supplements making industry. So now lot of food and beverages industries are getting into fortification, and we would really help them out and support them in terms of specifications and how to make it up. Next slide, please. And this is what we are. So I'm Atmanirbhar Bharat in terms of my micronutrient premixes, because made in India. In terms of processed food, like I was talking about, we fortify the bakery industry, the confectionery industry, the juices industry, and the ready-to-eat industry. Next slide. We are talking about the malt beverage industry, which we are fortifying in a big way, the sports nutrition, and the nutrition supplement industry, which we are providing our premixes as per their specifications. We manufacture in-house our therapeutic food and early nutrition products, which are specialized products, which are in-house manufactured. That's why I'm saying I'm Atmanirbhar Bharat. So these are specialized products for the malnutrition industry, where if you are malnourished, these are the products which are used. With this, let me say thank you very much to ASSOCHAM and Team Hexagon for giving me an opportunity to talk about the various verticals which Hexagon is into. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Arunji. Your presentation was indeed very informative. I'm sure the participants would have been liking it, and in fact from the backward linkages to the market which it caters to, you have covered everything for the micronutrient premixes. Thank you very much once again. So I would now introduce the next. So he would be speaking on micronutrient paramount for the supplement industry. Mr. Raman, over to you. Mr. Raman, you can carry on. Will you be sharing some presentation?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible, Ramanji.
Okay. Good afternoon to all of you. I am very thankful to ASSOCHAM for organizing this kind of webinar, and again welcome to all the panelists and all the participants in the webinar. So as most of the experts have already given some insight on how micronutrients are and how malnutrition is important in India. So I'll be taking you through a few slides to throw some more light on this topic. We'll start with the malnutrition and food deficiencies. So the first question comes is that, are we eating the right nutritious food? So if we talk about India and across the globe, there are many countries where people are not having the nutritious, proper nutrition in their diet. So there could be many regions, if you can relate to some of the pictures I have shared here. So few people are, not able to get the food. So how due to poverty, and they are not having proper resources, they are not having money to buy food and nutritious food. And on the other hand, there are some people who do not get the right nutrition, I would say, just because of their living styles, their living habits, eating habits. So they are more focused on junk foods, and they are skipping the right nutritional meals, right? There are various surveys in past also, and I have taken a few examples. So from Global Nutrition Report in 2016, 9 countries, 57 have been severe level of undernutrition and adult overweight. And out of world population of 7 billion, 2 billion comes with the micronutrient deficiencies. So in India as well, we are also focusing on this. FSSAI is also focusing on nutrition. So they started some initial guidelines on fortifications of some staple foods, rice, edible oils in 2016 and 18, and now they have specified some fortified logo with Sampurn portions, Swachh Jeevan Abhiyan. So government is also taking care of working in this field to fulfill the nutritional needs of the country and healthy well-being of the citizens. So next thing is now this is the need of the hour, that we need to fulfill the nutritional needs of the population. So there are various terms and various methods to fulfill those nutritional needs. So we use supplementation is one of them, enrichment and fortification. So term supplementation is basically used to describe the large doses of the micronutrients, basically in the forms of multivitamin capsules, pills, syrup. When processing any micronutrient, so there is some loss of the micronutrients while processing. So if you add them back in the food, that means enrichment. And fortification means vitamins and minerals have been added to a food that wasn't originally a food, but it is specially designed and made to make it nutritious. So there are certain definitions as well from WHO and Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. So fortification refers to the practice of deliberately increasing the content of essential micronutrients, that is vitamins and minerals, including trace elements in the food. So this is to improve the quality of the food supply and to provide public health benefit with minimal risk to health. So this is what WHO and Food and Agriculture Organization of United States talks about the food fortifications. So next comes is what are the different types of food fortification. So there are majorly 3-4 types of food fortifications. The first comes is the mass fortification. So it is generally considered to be the best option for nourishing the larger populations in the country or in the world. So they, while nourishing the staple foods like wheat flour, corn, cooking oils, etc. So this is for mass fortification. And the second kind of fortification comes in the targeted food fortification program. So this is specifically aimed to a specific subgroup of the population. For example, if we say that if we are designing a fortified food for a diabetic patient, so he may be having some different nutrient needs, and if we are designing it for pregnant and lactating mothers, so they will be needing some different kind of nutrients in different ratios. So designing these particular fortified foods comes under the targeted food fortification. And one more fortification is we call it as a market-driven fortification. So it is more or less a business-oriented initiative to add some or more nutrients to processed foods. So it is more towards the business opportunities. And the one more fortification is there, that is a biofortification. So it is basically related to the biotechnology or genetic engineering. So breeding the crops to increase their nutritional value. So these are some of the nutritional fortification methods. Now the next question comes, why food fortification is required in India? So I would say that Indian diets are rich in staples, provide calories but not the nourishment. So there has been many surveys by Government of India, and which states that you can see some of the data where there are some deficiencies in their food, but they are taking up. So this is just to highlight those things, and these are the surveys taken by Government of India. Now next comes is what are the micronutrients? Since we are fortifying the food, so micronutrients are the major group of nutrients which your body needs. They include majorly vitamins and minerals. So let's understand this also. The vitamins are necessary for energy production, immune functions, blood clotting, and their functions. On the other side, minerals play an important role in growth, bone health, fluid balance, and several other processes. So humans must obtain micronutrients from food, since we cannot produce these in your body. There are this picture also shows some of the sources, natural sources of the various vitamins and minerals, which we should consider in your diet regularly to compensate our nutritional needs. So depending upon the need of certain micronutrients are also helping us to develop our immune system and fighting the diseases, which also increases our immunity. So next, there is some list of micronutrients. There are some water soluble vitamins and some fat soluble vitamins, macro minerals, trace minerals. So these are all the essential micronutrients which we should take in adequate quantities as per the RDA recommendations. Then here are some of the how micronutrients play a big role in our body. Vitamins and minerals are often called as micronutrients because our body needs them in different quantities. So I'll share some of the examples here. With vitamin deficiencies, if we are not taking adequate amount of the vitamins and minerals in our body, so we may have some issues, or people may have some issues like scurvy is one of them. So this is majorly due to deficiencies of vitamin C in the food, and this is majorly due to deficiency of vitamin C in the food, and it causes bleeding of gums, and similarly blindness is also one of the it may occur due to deficiency of vitamin A, and rickets is also due to vitamin D, which can soften our bones and weaken our bones. We can have skeletal deformities. So these are some of the examples. Due to vitamin deficiencies, people may suffer. So next are some of the examples how minerals play their role in our body. So I think iron is one of the best example. So it is very important in our body for hemoglobin formation from all the body tissues to help functioning their normal activities. Then zinc plays a vital role in majorly it is playing a role in immunity boosting. Then fluoride also strengthen our bones. Then copper, helps to form various enzymes which increase metabolism and creation of hemoglobin. So these are some of the examples of minerals and vitamins which are helping us to live a healthy life. So next, these are some of more details regarding this vitamins and minerals and their importances, how they are affecting our life. So I'll just quickly skip this through now. So now coming to the current scenario of pandemic, the micronutrients will play a vital role here because in case of COVID as well, the immunity is the best option to survive, and to enhance your immunity they are providing us the better nourishment which enhances our immunity. For example, vitamin B6, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, magnesium, vitamin A. So all these vitamins are supporting and maintaining our immune system so that we can fight our the viruses and remain in a good health. So there are certain food vehicles and fortifying agents. So basically, for example, salt. So salt is basically fortified with iodine or iron. So like juices are fortified with vitamin C, soya milk, and all these are fortified with vitamin A, calcium. So these are some of the examples and what are the various food vehicles and what are the fortifying agents commonly used in the supplementing these food items. So next comes is the various benefits of the food fortification. Since the nutrients are added to staple foods that are widely consumed, this is an excellent method to improve health and health of large section of the population. So fortification is very safe method in improving the nutrition among the people. It is a very cost effective method and micronutrients in food does not pose any health risk until unless they are added in a recommended doses, and there are certain guidelines and dietary guidelines which state that how much quantities of a particular micronutrient needs to be added in the food while fortification. So there is no such harm to the health. It is helping us to improve our nutrition in our diet. It does not require any changes in the food habits of the people. You can fortify your foods which you are eating and you can nourish yourself. It does not also affect any food or any taste or feel or look of the food. So I think food fortification is the best option to come out of the malnutrition like problems in the country and in the world. So, but along with this benefits, there are certain limitations and challenges of micronutrient fortifications as well. So there are some, if you add these micronutrients to overages or underages, then there are certain effects. So if you are not adding to adequate quantities, it will again lead to the deficiencies. And if you are adding in overdoses, so in certain cases, it will lead to health issues in certain people due to safety risks. So we need to be very sure and we need to follow the guidelines while we are preparing the fortified foods, while we are manufacturing such supplements for the public health. So we should all adhere to all these guidelines and take care of these recommendations while we are formulating any new product. So next, I would say next is the fortified future. fortified food is the future of country or need of the country. So
Ramanji, you have one or 2 minutes
again,
more.
Okay, so this is again, helping people to, link to our national slogans of Kuposhan Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, healthy nutrition. So this fortified food is the future for the good nutrition practices. So these are also, some of the examples where Copenhagen Consensus did some study that around 347 million investment, US dollar investment was done in vitamins and minerals, and which in turn returned us around 5 billion savings in terms of the improving health, avoiding deaths of the people, healthy atmosphere. So this fortification and fortified food is growing really well, and it is the future requirement. These are some of the graphs where you can see how the things are growing. These are some of the surveys I have taken. How the
Ramanji,
food, drinks, and supplements have grown in immunity gains claims in recent times from 2014 to 2019. This is the slide which is showing the growth ratio, specifically in the supplement sector. Then these are some of the graphs where you can relate how various vitamins and micronutrients are lost and how they are given priorities in various food products across the industry. So like vitamin C, vitamin D, B6, these are most commonly used in various food products these days. So thank you all for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raman. In fact, your presentation was good. You highlighted the importance of fortification, what are the basic types of fortification, what are the challenges and what are the limitations that we have, how a manufacturer of fortification, how a person undergoing fortification should consider the maximum minimum limits as per the regulations. Thank you very much. I'm sure the participants would be benefiting out of it. Thank you. I would now call upon the next panelist of ours, that is Mr. Mihir Gadani. He is the founder director of OZIVA. He is a biotechnologist and a bioinformatics. His zeal is fitness and nutrition. Mr. Mihir, you'll have to accept the presenting rights if you're giving the presentation. Over to you.
Thank you, Nirupama ji. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hexagon Nutrition and ASSOCHAM for inviting us for this very interesting session. And how much time do I have, Nirupama ji? Can you just?
In 15 minutes, not more than that.
All right. I'll try to finish it off in like 10 to 12 minutes, so that other speakers can also get a chance to speak. All right, so I'll just switch it to the I'm not able to give my presentation. Can you help? Can the technical team can help?
Yes, I'm asking my IT person. I think you'll have to accept the presenting rights. That my team is, I think.
So now your presentation is visible. Please make it in full screen.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, no issue, sir. I will play for my side, sir.
All right, please do that.
Give me 10 seconds, please.
Sure.
Okay, sir.
Yep, absolutely. All right, okay. So I'll just quickly run through this. It's very good that we are talking about fortification and supplementation, right? So here my views would be a little different, maybe, and I'll leave you with some thought provoking things or questions. that we are talking about plant-based supplements, right? So to improve nutrition, right? So in India, I mean, I'll specifically talk about India, that we eat a lot of food. So I'll talk about the different part of the world, like people who I'll not go into details of malnutrition area, but people who can afford to have good nutrition food, but still they don't get nutrition. They eat a lot of food, but they don't get nutrition, right? So here my point would be that they would be opting for some kind of supplements, right, to help get the required nutrients from the body, like either micronutrient deficiency or the macronutrient deficiency, right? So for that, I think can I just can you get to the new slide, please? Next slide. All right, thanks. So here what I am propagating here is go for a plant-based diet. So more of a plant-based diet would mostly consist of the nutrients or the anything which you're consuming is coming from the plant, right? So here, and some people would say that is it like a vegan diet or something. So yes, some people interpret that as a vegan diet, but but plant-based diet would primarily consist of the things which you're consuming come from plant, and sometimes you can go for animal-based product. So that's a flexitarian approach, right? So it's a new word. Either it's not a vegetarian or non-vegetarian. It's a flexitarian approach, what we talk about here, right? So here, plant-based diet involves more of a plant food, which is like fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Sometimes you can go for meat, fish, or dairy product. So, and it's why plant-based? Because it's been years that we are talking about Ayurveda. We are the land of Ayurveda. Where can you get to the next slide, please? Right. So this is something where a plant-based diet would look like like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, starches, protein, and some part of a fat, right? So it's a balanced diet is something what we are talking about, which hardly we get. So that's the reason we're talking about food fortification. But we are going one step ahead. Can you get to the next slide, please? Yeah, so there was one survey which was done in 2019 where we spoke about we asked these questions about the plant-based diet. What is the what is the awareness level, right? So 52% of Indians they said that okay they are consuming any kind of plant-based food or a diet which is a vegan diet or something. So here we coined a word called flexitarian, because they say that 3 days I am following vegan diet, and 3 days I am not following vegan diet. So this is called flexitarian approach, right? That okay, because in India, yeah, chalta hai attitude gives you that flexitarian approach, right? So it's fine. I mean, it's absolutely fine. We are not getting very rigid about it, but talking about Ayurveda. Can you get to the next slide, please? Yeah. So see, we have been doing Ayurvedic sciences since like decades and years, like videos se chalta aa raha hai that talking about Ayurveda. So Ayurvedic science is somewhat similar to plant-based diet. Plant-based diet is a new coined term, which a new age term, which is similar to Ayurveda, where what Ayurveda talks about is like healthy and wholesome food which nourishes your mind, body, and soul. That's it. That's the bottom line, right? And like plants, which are the living being, are prana rich gift from earth, right? So it's a gift from earth which is given to us, that and you consume that, you become more sattvic, right? So Ayurveda, what it says that every root will have any kind of some kind of medicinal property, right? and which will help you give you a proper digestion and promote maximum absorption of the nutrient, right? So here fortification is needed because we are not getting these kind of nutrients what we are eating, because we are eating a highly processed food, right? Because of that, all these things all these vital nutrients are we are not getting, and we need to fortify it again, right? So see, it's a chicken and egg problem. That what do you want to do? What comes first, right? So I'll leave you with thought, that the plants and plant products already have all these things, but when we are not getting that, that's the reason we need to fortify these foods, or fortify or use these supplements, right? So that comes to plant-based supplements, why they are better, right, compared to the any other kind of supplements, because I would say that it has got, when something comes from plant, it comes with the whole team of co-factors and co-nutrients, right? That's the reason every time we say that have more whole food, because that is how you will get more of a co-nutrients. Because for example, I would like to say that if there is a team, or a cricket team, say Indian cricket team, only Virat Kohli won't help, right? You need batting, bowling, fielding, everything, then only you will be able to win the game, right? So that's how when you're taking any kind of a supplement, a single supplement, where you have a deficiency for, go for a plant-based supplement, because it will come with a lot of cofactors and coenzymes which will help in absorption of that particular nutrient. So that's the reason my emphasis is to either choose a plant-based supplement which is more beneficial for your body. Can we get to the next slide, please? All right, so plant-based supplements are what kind of supplements? Which are derived from fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, spices, bark, flowers, leaves, or any kind of botanical extract, or any. So here this is a new age supplementation, where we can extract a particular nutrient from a particular botanical part, right? So it will give say for example, ashwagandha will give a particular, or curcumin will give curcumin, you can extract it from turmeric, right? So similarly, we can also extract vitamins and minerals from plants, and that's the next level what we are talking about, apart from fortification. So if we are talking about plant-based supplements, that's the new age where we are leading to, where you can get more co-nutrients packed together in a particular supplement, where you can get it is having more bioavailability, more absorption, right? And your physiochemical form of any nutrient, which is a major factor for its bioavailability. So bioavailability, when you are consuming any kind of any supplement, you need to check the bioavailability, whether it is going to be absorbed by your body completely or not. Because otherwise what will happen, most of the other supplements which are there, or the the vitamin C, if I talk about, and they come in a crystalline form. Your body doesn't accept your molecules in a crystalline form. But when you talk about, when you compare it with a plant-based or a natural vitamin C, which will not be in a crystalline form, and it will be absorbed by your body much faster, and much bioavailability would be much higher for that. So, and of course, when the plant-based supplements can be taken for an extended period of time, no need to worry about anything, because it doesn't carry any risk of toxicity, right? So something what we should also look at is, so vitamins and minerals what you are consuming, apart from the fortified foods, are coming from plant-based sources, right? Can we get to the next slide, please? Yeah, so I talked about vitamin C. I'll talk about single nutrient deficiency, because in the COVID time you would see a lot of advertisements about vitamin C, that it is going to improve your immunity and all sort of things, claims that people do. But I would like to bring to your notice that any natural vitamin C which is there.
Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt. You have 2 more minutes to wind up.
Got it, got it, got it. So any natural vitamin C will come from, which will come with two natural bioflavonoid, which is one is ascorbic acid. When you read the label, please read the label carefully, because ascorbic acid and the natural one will have DHAA, which is dehydroascorbic acid. So dehydroascorbic acid, which only comes from natural sources, is the most powerful antiviral and antifungal properties, not your only ascorbic acid. So when you are choosing any supplement, please make sure that you focus on the label and ask the question to the company from which you are buying about these questions are very important, because you will be spending a lot of money on these supplements, but these supplements will not get absorbed completely in your body, right? So I've got a lot of studies. I can share the studies about this, that and of course the same thing also holds true for vitamin E as well, that D-alpha tocopherol or DL-alpha tocopherol, what you are consuming, you just need to check your nutrition label very carefully, because D-alpha tocopherol is the only form where it is in a natural form, and it is more bioavailable, and it is going to get absorbed in your body in a more efficient way. All right, so I think if you guys are looking for any kind of supplements, you can choose the plant-based supplements, which would be much more beneficial for your health. All right, I think I'm done from my side, Nirupama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meher. In fact, I'm delighted to have your inputs about the plant-based supplements, as you have shared that they have lower level of toxicity, have more bioavailability, they have more chances of absorption, and extended period of time they can be taken. I think people will be taking their mindful choices regarding this. Thank you very much. I now move on to the next speaker, that is Ms. Nazneen Hussain. She is the President, Indian Dietetics Association, Mumbai chapter. She has been leading dietitian from Mumbai, and she in fact started her center also, life development center named as Freedom. So she'll be speaking on role of micronutrients in fitness and sports. So over to you, Ms. Nazneen.
Thank you. Can you just enable, let me share? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. So, hello friends. I know it's lockdown time and this is a very tricky topic because there are a lot of active people there who are dying to go back to the field, to their training grounds and play the sport that they want. In fact, after lockdown, we assume that sports is going to be one of the biggest industries which will pick up, especially now with all the schools being closed till September, and the rise of obesity is going to be huge. So if you tell people exercise, they don't like it. But if you say, "Jaake khelo," and in fact, India launched the Khelo India movement, and sports is the way to go. So what exactly influences the athletic ability? That would be your diet and nutrition, like all our previous speakers have spoken. The amount of training, also risk of injury and treatment are two very, very important things for every athlete. Rest, recovery, refuel, and optimal supplementation. So all of these are all interdependent on each other, and you cannot skip even one part of this entire circle. Some of the consequences of poor nutrition would be weight loss, strength loss, lethargy, chronic fatigue, soreness, micronutrient deficit, and respiratory infections. In fact, when we look at the entire sport scenario, and when we talk about sports, every sport has a different requirement. So here we have Deepa Karmarkar, who is the first woman gymnast. These are my two Navy. I'm also the nutritionist to the Indian Navy and the Armed Forces, and these are my Olympic level boxers who are playing almost every international Olympics, and also the Indian cricket team. So each of these would have different requirements, surely based on the amount of intensity, time of each of the game, and hence requirements for everybody is very, very different. Thus, we have a scientific term which is called the need analysis, based on which we classify the sport, and here we distinguish between the skill, power, the amount of mixed activities and endurance, and each of these would help us to arrive at what kind of a supplement a particular person or what kind of a diet should we plan for this athlete based on all these different recommendations. Okay, so some of the main goals of an athlete would be strength, power, probably to a boxer it would be hypertrophy, for a gymnast it would be weight loss and muscle. So each of these would be very, very different depending on the kind of sport we are playing. So what is the current status of an athlete? Whenever you are starting a diet, when an athlete comes to us, we often look at in which stage is he in. Is he in the preparatory phase? Is he in the competitive phase, which would be pre-competition or the main competition? Or he is in the transition or the recovery phase where he is just getting over an injury and now getting back to the sport. So the choice of dietary supplements will depend based on each of these stages as well. Okay, so it brings us to this beautiful term called diet periodization. Here we modulate the intensity, volume, and the frequency, and therefore it helps us to understand and plan based on the demands of the body of the athlete. Now, how can we periodize? So we look at the training. What are the training goals? Based on the training goals, we arrive at what is the optimal nutrition plan for this athlete. And once you have that, of course, the primary goal is to have a proper diet. But to an athlete, there are different reasons like travel, staying out of home, not getting correct nutrition, or even if you look at most of our Indian grounds, if you come out, the next thing you have is a vada pav wala or a samosa wala. There are very few fruit stalls which actually exist outside every playground or a stadium. Okay, so this is where we are as India. So planning the micros and the macros are very important at this stage. Okay, and so how is the prevalence and the relevance of this use? So it increases with level of training, it increases with age. Okay, men need more supplements than women, and it's strongly influenced by cultural norms, both sporting and non-sporting. Okay, why do athletes need supplement? To prevent nutritional deficiencies. All our speakers have beautifully spoken about nutritional deficiencies and avoiding them. It's also a convenient provision of energy and nutrients. It helps us to achieve specific and direct performance benefits. Also gain improvement as the training becomes higher intensity and greater volume. Every session requires recovery. So it's not like, okay, I went for a walk and I'm done with the day, because these athletes train almost around 7 to 8 hours a day. And so recovering from one session to another also. So at the Navy, their training begins at 4 a.m. and they're training till 7 a.m. Then they have a break for 3 hours. Then from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock, again they are training. They have a lunch break, they'll rest for some time. Again from 5 to 7, there is intense training. So just recovering in a day also from various training sessions are very important. Because of such severe training, risk of injuries and illnesses are high. Sometimes a lot of them also use sponsorship because they get sponsored, or there is a just in case attitude. So many people who are not seeing an official nutritionist, they just take a supplement कि अच्छा ले लेते हैं शायद अच्छा ही होगा, so they use it as a backup plan. Many of them take it because their competitors are also taking it. So these are various reasons why athletes actually take supplements. So who should become, we spoke about this, that the dosage depends on the athletic activity, intensity, age and gender. Okay, this is a very beautiful, interesting study, and because we have a lot of industry friends here, so I thought it was very relevant that this is the distribution based on dietary supplements in elite athletes. So you can see the percentages on how each of them prioritize the need of nutrition. You see, immune health is the smallest section here. In fact, sadly, it should be one of the biggest sections. When you look at the frequency of supplement consumption by the athletes, you see that the number of supplements would be anything from 1 or 2 to 7 or 8. Okay, so a lot of athletes, also elite athletes especially, consume a lot of multiple supplements. Then we look at the frequency of the kind of supplement that they're taking, and we've listed 16 most consumed supplements. And if you see protein, amino acids, multivitamins, glutamine, creatine, of course, top the chart completely. Where are most of these supplements purchased? Mostly from the supplement store. Also, a lot of them are provided by sponsors or internet. Sadly, somewhere this trend needs to change. Ideally, a supplement should be prescribed either by a doctor, a physical an exercise therapist, or mostly the nutritionist who's planning the diet, so that all the wrong supplements should be avoided. Because of all these reasons, also a lot of sportsmen or athletes pick up supplements which are not certified by the WADA. And now today, anti-doping laws have become very, very big in India and across. In fact, a lot of them get disqualified just entering the Olympics, probably because of a wrong choice of supplements. So responsible choices are very important, and places where they are picked up again is very important. They should be prescription based. Who influences this buying behavior? Probably the coach, the nutritionist, the physician, yes. But a lot of times, more than 50% or close to 45-50% is the athlete himself. And he may have little or no knowledge to choose which supplement to take. So that is why guidance and more empowerment, more education on supplements definitely needs to go out there. What is the relative frequency of athletes not taking supplements? So some of the reasons would be family does not allow them, the coach does not allow them, they have a fear of contamination, especially if they are qualifying for national and international games. They are unsure about positive and negative attitudes, and they do not consider it necessary. Now this scenario again may not be a correct one, because for sure athletes do need supplements at various stages, especially at peak time performances when the training frequency really increases. So again, education, empowerment and knowledge in this sector will definitely help. Some of the sports nutrition supplements which have done brilliantly well would be all of these. Okay, some of the Indian heroes would be your turmeric, and because we also have the FMCG, Amul has recently launched the Haldi milk. I think it's very good. Every Indian kid knows about Haldi Doodh, and to commercialize the product, I think is very nice. Likewise, Ashwagandha has been incorporated in the whey protein supplement by Quista. the Himalaya product. Also, some of the Indian goodies like amla for vitamin C, triphala, neem, papaya leaf extract, tamarind extract, moringa, that is your drumstick leaf, are all considered as superfoods. And Mihir beautifully spoke about the plant-based nutrition just before this. So all of these actually come from that family. Some of the other troubles for women would be the female triad at the athletic triad, where they eat too little, very low fat meals. There is a lot of challenges with menstrual cycles, and definitely a need for supplementation has to be there. I would tell you all about some of my girls who are playing football. They're doing very well as far as the career is concerned, but horribly as far as nutrition is concerned. Some of them stay at, if a lot of y'all are from Mumbai, they would stay right in Bhayandar, or they would stay in Vasai. They leave home at 5 in the morning to their training ground. Then they go to college. They reach home only at 10. And through the day, it's a sheer struggle for them to pick up the correct food and eat. And how much can they pack to go early morning is also a question. So definitely more challenges here in this area. Again, injuries can be very, very debilitating. And if you look at cricket, all these smaller injuries are there, smaller injuries, bigger injuries, and that itself can create major trouble. Football, again, it is seen that almost every footballer may have some kind of an ACL tear across his career, and you see the knee, almost 300 injuries expected. Okay. Kabaddi, again, gaining a lot of impotence in India. Again, ACL tear, ankle sprains, all these are very, very common. Recovery and refuel hence are major goals. We look at intensity of exercise, and based on that, we look at glycogen restoration, fluid and electrolyte balance, which is a major opportunity for this industry. Also, muscle repair and adaptation. So, whilst we have foods, yes, but need for supplements for all of these do exist. Okay. How much time do I have?
2 minutes to wind up.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to say that the immune health again is very important. We have a lot of research which is done, and this I picked up from the International Olympic Community, and they have given a lot of this evidence. I will share these slides with you all for future reference, and they have categorized the evidence of support. So vitamin D has moderate support for immune health. Then we look at probiotics, again, beneficial life microorganisms, moderate support. We have vitamin C, moderate support. We have bovine colostrum, fairly low support. Okay. Polyphenols, low to moderate, however, works in a condition like India, just like I would support what Mihir said in the previous thing, that a lot of plant-based diets are gaining popularity and may help. So these supplements can do well, especially in our country. Zinc for immune health, again, moderate to low support. Glutamine, limited studies are available. Caffeine, again, limited support. However, a lot of caffeine is good studies on caffeine for other alertness and better health. Okay. Ichenia, again, limited support. Omega-3, more research studies are required. Definitely beneficial, but we can look at plant-based omega-3 in India, and I think that would do really well. Vitamin E, again, limited support. However, especially for a lot of our elderly now are getting very active, and it may help in a lot of elderly athletes. Polysaccharides, again, can help, but more studies are required. Okay, caffeine with training capacity and recovery and muscle soreness has done brilliantly well. Okay, losing fat mass, this is an assembly of all the research studies. While these I have got from a Cochrane review, which is over 300 papers. More work needs to be done because a lot of studies which were done probably didn't comply to those guidelines. So we need to look at either pyruvate or chromium or green tea or lipoic acid, conjugated linoleic acid. All of them may have a role. The only thing is we need to figure out how we can incorporate these. Okay. So bridging the gap between consumption and knowledge is important. Okay, like this is khorake pelwan, that is badam ka halwa. So back in the days when we didn't have too many dietary supplements, this is what our pelwans had just before training, so that they performed very well. They also use sugarcane juice as a glycogen holder. Also, some of the traditional superfoods would be your dark chocolate, basil, barley, garden cress, bay leaves, beetroots. Beetroots again brilliant because of the nitric oxide content. Coconut and coconut products and all the leaves. Okay, this is my last slide, and my only appeal to the industry is that whilst we have a very elite group of athletes, but who can afford, 95% of the athletes come from very, very minimalistic families, and nutrition is an expensive affair. This is a simple costing of the regular home foods which I have put over here. If with that I have to add some supplementation, the total really jumps up. And that is why when we look at supplements, yes, we'd like to use more supplements, our athletes need more supplements, but it has to be cost effective, especially in our country, because most of them come from very, very non-affording families from very small towns. And till the time they get a sponsor and they get picked up by somebody, they need humble prices to be followed more efficiently. With that, and also these are some of the current trends where we have greater energy and performance through nutrients, sports nutrition and vegans. Mihir just spoke about it. Also, active seniors and a lot of females getting into the sports and hydration, and rise of naturalness in sports nutrition products. With that, thank you so much, and I hope this presentation was helpful to you.
Yes, indeed, Ms. Nazneen, it was indeed helpful. In fact, it gave us a view of how the nutrition for sports is being designed, how the need analysis is being done, what is its role in selecting the kind of supplements, what is the current status of athletes nowadays, and how the diet is prioritized, and what are the influence of points of purchase for the sports nutrition products. And in fact, we would also appeal industry to minimize the cost so that they can reach the maximum amount of people. So now I would move on to the last panelist of ours, that is Ms. Divya. She is from R&D, Manapur. She has 4 years of experience in quality and regulatory. She'll be speaking on emerging needs of cereal-based nutritional supplements. Divya, you have 15 minutes to go. 15, I would say rather 10 to 12 minutes. We need to wind up. Over to you.
Good evening to all the participants. I will be taking you through the needs of cereal-based fortification, why there is a need for fortification of foods in India, why we should be fortifying our foods through cereals, and finally I will be taking you through gaps in our market and therefore which can turn into opportunities. So first, I had started with a definition for fortification. Fortification is the addition of vitamins and minerals into staple foods, so that the nutritional content of the food is increased. The nutrients can be present in the food, or it might not be present, or might be lost during processing also. Why fortify? So one of the main reasons we fortify our food is to combat the deficiency of micronutrients in the population. why population has deficiency of micronutrients is because there is a lack of consumption of balanced diet, lack of variety in the diet, and sometimes there is because of unavailability of food because of poverty reasons. Sometimes the nutrients are also lost because of processing. So one of the ways we can address deficiency of micronutrients is by fortification. Okay, so next I have given current status in India. I have given children aged under 5 years who are stunted, wasted, and underweight. And I have also spoken about anemia in India, where 53.2% of women are anemic and 22.7% of men are anemic too. More than a quarter of India's vitamin A deficient children are residing in India. There are also deficiencies in B group vitamins, and vitamin D is also prevalent. So I have given certain statistics, vitamin D deficiency, anemia in India, prevalence of anemia, neural tube defects. This is because of deficiency of folic acid. Next, I will be taking you through fortification through grains and cereals. So an average Indian derives his calories through grain and cereal. Rice is the staple food of India and followed by wheat. Then consumption of fruits.
Divya, can I suggest you to put your presentation on a presentation mode because it's difficult to see it.
Is it visible now?
No. You need to come down and just at the bottom where you have this mode out there, just put it on a presentation. The icon is there at the bottom.
I am actually showing my screen.
Technical team, can you help her, please? No.
Yes, ma'am.
Bottom.
Ma'am,
Bottom.
control F press कीजिए, ma'am. Control F.
Sorry.
Control F.
Control
F. ओके मैम, ये बॉटम में आपके जो PPTs के बॉटम में यहाँ पे 4 आइकन्स दिखा रहे हैं. ये नोट्स है ना जो बॉटम में, उसके इधर डाउन मैम, जहाँ पे आपका कीबोर्ड है बॉटम, स्क्रीन के बॉटम में जाइए.
या
आपका अपडेटेड टाइम आता है ना, वहाँ पे ऊपर ये, हाँ, इस पे क्लिक कीजिए मैम प्लीज. Oh, PowerPoint has, yeah, perfect ma'am.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. So now I'm going to take you through why we need to fortify our foods through grains and cereals. An average Indian derives his calorie through grains and cereals, our staple food being rice, the second staple food being wheat. Indian diets are rich in staple. They provide calories, but they do not provide nourishment. And as I said earlier, there is a lack of consumption of varied diet, balanced diet among the Indian population, like fruits, vegetables, meat, and eggs. Therefore, there is a need to fortify our foods through cereals and grains to meet the nutritional deficiency in India, and also to meet the recommended dietary allowances each day. So I have shown a food pyramid here. As you can see, cereals, grains, millets, and pulses occupy the bottommost of the food pyramid, where 50 to 60% of our total intake of calories come from carbohydrates through cereals, breads, and pasta. Food fortification can either be mandated by regulations or it can be voluntary. So I have listed down certain vehicles where fortification can be done, like atta, flour, noodles, rice, infant foods, breakfast cereals, flours, bread, porridge, and nutrition bars. Okay. So we did a market survey, and I have listed down certain products from the market who have fortified, and these fortifications are being mandated or regulated by FSSAI. Ashirvad, Pillsbury, they have fortified with iron, folic acid, and vitamin B12. This is the rice which is being fortified and being regulated by FSSAI as well. These are other products which are fortified voluntarily by the food business operator. So now I'm talking about the gaps or opportunities. So while we surveyed the market, we found certain spaces in markets which are not being fortified in the cereal space, like pasta, noodles, vermicelli, RT and RTC, given that staples and cereals and millets form major part of the diet. So these are our observations. So a lot of many brands we have seen who voluntarily fortify the products. They claim the multi-grain is claimed, but then the product only contains wheat and barley. That does not contain whole grain and does not contain millets in them. Other brands who have fortified their products, it's very generalized. Like they do not cater to specific needs. What we feel as a cereal company and a nutrition-based company is that the fortification has to be has to cater to specific needs, like a target group, and many brands do not convey or communicate how much of RDA they would be delivering, the product or a serving of the product would be delivering. So these are the gaps we had found, which can be changed into opportunities later. Breakfast cereals, bars, RTC and RTE products are not being fortified presently. Trace elements are not fortified. So like I showed you certain other brands who had fortified with iron, folic acid and vitamin B12 to cater to the deficiency of iron and anemia caused by iron. There are certain trace elements which need to be focused, like selenium, magnesium, which is good, which are the nutrients which is important for mental development and immunity as well. Mental development, immunity, gut health, bone health, and cognitive development are also other areas which needs to be focused in terms of fortification. Some brands have done clinical studies, and the clinical studies should be recent ones. And finally, we have a suggestion so that the products should have a health quotient on their label, so that when a consumer picks a product from the shelf, the consumer should know what is the nutrient quotient the consumer is buying. With that, I end my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Divya. In fact, your presentation was indeed very helpful, and we could understand the gaps and opportunities that exist in the fortification sector. So this is all what we have. We now move on to the next session of the webinar, that is question answer session. There are a set of questions that have come online. So I will be sharing the questions one by one, and would request one of the two panelists who can address those questions. So first question is, what are the benefits of investing in the food fortification other than health? I would now pass on this question to Dr. Pai, and then Arullalji can also answer it.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What are the benefits of investing in food fortification other than health?
Yeah. As can be seen, the fortified foods market is growing tremendously. And as I had given in my slides, before the end of this decade, it is going to be almost $1.4 trillion. So there is a huge market, and this is specifically because consumers are getting aware. They are realizing there is a connection between the nutrients and the health. And they want their family members to be healthy, and they want better nutritious foods. And if they cannot get from their regular food ingredients, they would have to use the fortified food. So this is a big incentive for the industry to come up with the fortified foods. Government also is helping them. In fact, FSSAI has already promoted this fortification program by lending their mark of +F to those industry companies who are conforming to their standards and their method of production or fortification. So this is a very good sign that the industry can benefit tremendously by having this kind of a fortified food marketed to the consumers. So I see a huge market for this.
Would you like also to add on something? Mr. Arunlal, would you also like to add on?
Yes, I just wanted to put one point. It was well said by Dr. Pai from the industry point of view. I would like to say from the consumer point of view. Yes, for the industry, it's good. For the consumer, in terms of consuming fortified foods, in terms of health, the benefit which I get is basically enhancing my immune system. In today's time, what is very important is my immune system has to be very strong. And it is basically through the balanced nutritional diet of micronutrients, consuming the micronutrients in the right quantity as per the RDA levels, which is there in staple food and other dietary food, and the macronutrients which are. So it's important for the consumer, and it is beneficial to the industry, like what Dr. Pai rightly said. Thank you.
So coming to the next question we have is food fortification a replacement to dietary deficiency? I would like to pass on this question to Ms. Nazneen.
That the food fortification definitely can help, especially because in most of the times when we say have 400 grams of vegetables and fruits, okay, sometimes it's a tall order, and especially now in COVID times, we saw that a lot of times fresh fruit was not available. Even on regular days, the people are not able to consume such high amounts, okay. And so also we say eat your rainbow, at least have 3 vegetables and 2 fruits. But many a times these may not always be possible. Yes, you should aim to reach it, but if not, food fortification definitely helps in meeting these gaps.
Like to add on to this? Divya, would you like to add on to this question? No. Thank you. Okay. So our next question is, what are the problems encountered in establishing food fortification programs? Dr. Pai, I would request you to address this.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes.
What are the problems encountered?
Yes. What are the problems encountered food fortification programs? Okay.
One problem is, we have seen in the case of iodization of salt, initially the iodine content was not equally distributed, and there were color differences, odor problems, etc., which came up because of lack of quality control that was existing at that time. However, later on it was overcome. So people have to get used to some of the changes that might take place either in color, flavor, or some of the other characteristics, appearance, texture, etc. That is one difficulty that might be there. Second problem is cost is definitely going to increase. So unless there is some kind of a support from the government to subsidize the fortification program, consumers who are not aware of the benefits of the fortified foods are not going to pay extra money for something which they can get it cheaper without the fortification. I may also like to add something to the previous question, whether there is an alternative for food fortification. There have been some of the cases. For example, you might see in the market the high omega-3 eggs, or some of the other products which are produced by agricultural practices, wherein the animals, especially in this case, in case of eggs, the chicken were fed with omega-3 enriched the feed, so that the eggs would contain higher amounts of omega-3, so that there would not be any kind of a problem. The consumers buying that without any kind of thinking that there is something chemical done. I hear some noise in somebody is talking.
Please mute everyone. I think it is at somebody's background. I would request everyone who is not speaking to mute them kindly. Yes, sir. Please carry on.
Yeah. So definitely, coming back to the original question, we do require some support, and the industry also initially should not try to jump up the price unless the fortified foods become popular, they get well accepted, and then the consumers might pay extra amount. So these are some of the problems of starting a new fortification program in India. Thank you.
One of the questions related to this has been online just during the webinar. The price, why there is a price difference between nutrient premix and the supplement. I hope Arunji and Dr. Pai both can address this.
Arunji, would you like to start?
Sir, you are muted. Please unmute yourself, Arun sir.
Arun sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Check कीजिए sir आप.
Yeah, now I'm unmuted. I was muted from the organizer. Okay. Two questions. I would like to answer the previous one also, what Dr. Pai rightly said. One, today, in today's era, fortified food is not expensive because the industry has not jacked up the price because of fortification. If you see any of the staple food which are there in the marketplace, be it rice fortification, be it flour, be it milk, or be it oil, it is selling at the same MRP price. So the industry has not jacked up. It is inclusive of the normal price, but it has been fortified with F logo. So price does not make a decision. It is the initiative of the individual to go in for the fortified food. Point two, the fortification cost is very minimal. For oil, it is just 8 paisa per liter. For milk, it is 4 paisa per liter. For rice, it is 99 paisa. So it is not the cost which is important. It is the individual they have to take the initiative and go ahead. The second challenge, why I can talk on fortification program, because I've been working for these programs for the last 10 years. The biggest challenge for fortification program is the right premix which is to be used by the industry, because the right nutrient and the salts makes a difference. Like for example, Dr. Pai rightly said, salt, when salt was doing, when we were fortifying salt out there were a lot of issues because the right salt was not being used. But now it has been rectified. Even if I see flour, there was an issue of flour getting blackened. Now I'm talking about 2-3 years back. Now we have worked on the right salt for the flour in terms of nutrients, and these challenges have been removed. We have also worked on one of the biggest challenge, which is there is testing. The industry needs to test the raw material input which is coming in, that is the micronutrient, because that forms a major part of the food ingredient and the final product, which FSSAI is working on it now, and they have already instructed most of their FDAs and the FBOs with regard to method of analysis as to how the finished product needs to be tested and the raw material in terms of micronutrients needs to be tested. So I hope I have answered both the questions which were raised.
Yes, sir, very, very rightly you've answered. In fact, one of the questions is interrelated, so would request you again to give your inputs. That is, do companies need a laboratory for testing nutrient content of fortified food?
Yes, yes, and no. Most of the industry do have a QC department, in-house QC department to test their own product. They need to have method of analysis to test the micronutrient which is fortified in the final product. Yes, as per FSSAI Act also and as per FSSAI law, they have to test their products once in 6 months from a third party lab, which is a must.
So, okay, thank you, sir. So my next question that has been shared with me is, will regular intake of fortified staples cause any adverse effects if entire meal is fortified? This can be addressed by Ms. Nazneen.
So yeah, ideally, fortification may not cause any challenges, especially because if it is a water-soluble vitamin, they will be thrown out in the urine. They'll be excreted in the urine, and otherwise there is even Divya mentioned, there are a lot of labels given which specify the RDAs, and even at the FSSAI level, I think the dosage has been very, very well thought of and chalked off. So I don't think there is any overdosage which is there. So I don't see those challenges coming in at all.
Okay,
and a lot also depends on the individual's bioavailability and the kind of foods that they're eating at a household level and the dietary level. All of that also influence. So the chances of toxicity and overdosing are very, very minimalistic.
Okay, one more question, Ms. Nazneen. What do you prefer? I mean, an athlete should refer his coach's reference for taking a sports supplement, or should he or she go for a dietitian?
Ideally, they should go to a nutritionist, because the nutritionist has actually studied the entire requirement for the athletes. It can be a joint meeting. Ideally, we prefer to do a joint meeting because we often discuss training schedules, and based on every day's training schedules, we'll give. So it's a joint dialogue, but the final diet and the prescription is always given by a nutritionist. So we tell them that you all prescribe the exercises, we prescribe the nutritionist, but yes, there is a continuous dialogue and we work like a team.
Okay, that should be a continuous effort. I mean, combined effort, rather, I would say.
And also, they keep going back and forth, because if you see the performance dropping, the coach gets back to the nutritionist saying that, ma'am, there's something which we need to add, and we'd add back. So it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Can I add
My
to
next
that?
question would be,
Can I add to that?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Especially the sportsman, boxers or some people who are in that weight range, and sometimes they need to lose the weight, and because of the shortage of time, or they are in a hurry, they may not take care, or they may not consult a nutritionist or dietitian. This can lead to a lot of problems. So there are a lot of internet articles which will help them make their own choice. You can very easily buy some of the supplements and sports nutrition items in the market without any prescription or without consulting anybody. So it's a very dangerous thing. So what Nazneen has brought out is a very important point.
Right.
They must be told to consult the dietitian or the nutritionist before taking any of these things. Now, some of the supplements in the market may also carry some highly bioactive materials like steroids or some such things, and those can be even problematic health-wise, as well as they might disqualify some of the athletes if they are tested for under that WADA or NADA. So that also is very important. So I fully endorse Nazneen's view that they must consult the nutritionist before taking any kind of medication or nutritional supplement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So next question is, which premixes are available for fortifying beverages? I would request if Mr. Mihir could address this. Mr. Mihir, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, can you repeat the question, please?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
The question is, which premixes are available for fortified beverages?
Which premixes are available for fortified beverages? See, there are a lot of premixes are available, or they can be customized. Okay. So as Mr. Arun Lal and Hexagon Nutrition are into this, so they definitely have companies like Hexagon will have premixes available with them, and they can also customize according to the need, right? So it is available also. They are readily available with the companies like Hexagon, and also it can be customized according to the need of that particular individual, right? But of course there are certain RDA guidelines which needs to be followed, and they can be customized accordingly.
Okay, thank you. So the last question is to Ms. Divya, that is, which nutrient should you use for beverage fortification? Divya? Ms. Divya? Please. So should I repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Yeah, it is, which nutrient should you use for beverage fortification?
There is no specific need of a nutrient to be fortified into a beverage. It depends upon the target group you are directing the beverage to, the functions you wish to claim on the product, and the need you want to address. So there is no particular nutrition. Like we had launched a product, a grain-based product last year, where we had targeted it to kids aged 7 to 9 years. And our RDA, there we had developed a philosophy, nutrition philosophy, delivering 33% of RDA of key nutrients in every slot. So it depends upon the nutrition design of the product and the philosophy developed by the company. There is no hard and fast rule as to which nutrient has to be fortified into the beverage.
Okay, thank you very much. So here comes the end of our session. I would rather say enriched session of discussion with presentations and informative sessions from all the panelists. I would now request Mr. Vikas Jain, a senior member, ASSOCHAM, and MD of PMB Nutrients, to give the concluding remarks and formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Nirmama. I'm unmuted, right, great. Thank you, Nirmama, thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to thank all the panelists on behalf of ASSOCHAM for participating in this wonderful discussions over the last 2 hours. Let me start with, I think, to summarize the entire event. Briefly, I think Mr. Anil Rajput ji set the theme and the tone in a very perfect way, where he talked about what are the challenges with the FMCG, the diversity in the food which is happening and the way products are being developed, the PPP which is required to ensure that the malnutrition can really be eliminated, and the fortification on the staples which is mandated in certain categories and also now being done voluntarily, as we have seen through the deliberations on some of the RTD products, ready-to-eat products as well. So I think all these will go a long way in trying to address the challenges we have with, I would say, malnutrition per se. Then I think now going to Vikram Kelkarji, I think as always, he has been able to put in all the aspects of challenges of the food industry in a very concise manner, and trying to list out the opportunities and the problems which are correlated for sure. But then I would not agree less with him that larger the problems, larger the opportunities as well. So I think that is what we have in this COVID time, where we have a large problem on hand, and equally are the large opportunities available today to get into, I think, what one of the presenter also talked about, being the Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think that is where the opportunity lies for us also in the industry. And definitely the replacement part, what we are talking about, whatever we can do within the country, I think is going to be great. Going forward, has a lot of opportunity and business openings for a lot of people, a lot of technical entrepreneurs who would want to start up. So it's a good time to look at that. I think collaboration was a wonderful idea, Vikramji, where you said that there could be shared capacity utilizations, etc. It's a very nice thought and a way to go about. But yeah, the only thing is the competitive spirit needs to be taken care of. So other than that, I think your conclusion with the comments from Mr. Nixon, I think definitely if we are to interpret it, we are only defeated when we stop fighting. So that is what it is. And I must say a good compliment to your marketing team creating those animated whiteboards. I think that gives a very good interactive understanding for a lot of the issues and basic knowledge dissemination. Coming to Mr. Pai, it was an honor, sir, listening to the most, I would say, experienced and the most revered, I would say, a knowledge bank on nutrition and proteins and leading PFNDAI over the years. I think, sir, very well rightly said by you that there is a $1.4 trillion opportunity sitting. I think no doubt about it. We in India now really have to look at how are the entrepreneurs in India able to catch up onto this, and what best support can we get from the government in terms of, I would say, not that we are looking at subsidies or grants all the time, but it is also on the overall ease of doing business in getting our permissions, getting our regulatory compliances in place in the shortest possible time, and getting overall, as I say, on the ease of doing business. Now, the 3,000 crore business opportunity which you mentioned in India, I think is not even peanuts when we compare to the 1.4 trillion opportunity by 2028. So there is definitely a big opportunity here for India to look at being a fortified supplement supply base for fortification. And so I think there is definitely a silver lining in the cloud when I talk about the industry overall to look at the fortification business. Arunji, I think your presentation also was wonderfully structured, where I think letting people know as to what importance, what kind of certifications have in running a food processing or a food ingredient manufacturing company, whereas it starts from whatever the regulatory requirements are, and then things what we do beyond the regulation, because not always all food industries are wanting to just comply with the regulation part, but also about what they do better than what is regulated. So I think that is where it really goes to speak on the different stages of process of what your company adopts in terms of quality control at every stage, and how each of the micronutrients can be tailor-made for specific applications. And I think your observation about the RDA notification of 2019, and I think if I'm not wrong, FSSAI probably after just now last week itself has taken out a mandate to say that they need to want stricter monitoring of RDA claims being made by brand owners. So I think that is where we need to be now more onerous as food manufacturing companies, where underdose being one part, even overdose of micronutrients could be a problem. So I think that is where the story remains, that RDAs will be now more strictly monitored. Coming on to when I was smiling when you mentioned about the marginal cost in paisas, what it has for some of the products. I think it is a good idea that the government mandated into some staples that it should be done without any, options. So, but I think mandating it onto processed foods could be a challenge, but let's see how we can go about it. Then I think the overall dietary foods where all you are present, and I'm happy to say, okay, we also use Hexagon Nutrition premixes and vitamin minerals so in our products. So that was there, wonderfully, I think, structured. Raman, I think you also had a very good point to mention that lifestyle is also a big factor for people today, where how are they managing their lifestyles? And it's not only about just a nutrient deficiency, it's also overnutrition in some of the cases. So that's why what is also leading to the other lifestyle diseases which are happening is of probably overnutrition as well. So definitely just about 2 billion people into micronutrient deficiency out of the 7 billion population. I think it's a good statistics there for us to really see that what is the market. Here, so we are nearly talking about a 30% market where these products would be required and could go around the world. And I think your entire explanation about supplementation, enrichment, and fortification was quite interesting as a learning for people to know as to what are we doing. And definitely your point about calories and nutrition. There are calories which are being consumed, but whether they're really nutritive or not, I think was a good differential point to really think about. Coming to me here, I think you also re-emphasized the point of calories and nutrition, which Raman had made, and I think you're very right with the diets what people are opting now, and they're looking more towards plant-based diets. And those statistics where we really see today 80% of the food what we eat on the processed side other than meat is plant-based origin in one form or the other, right? And I think your concept about and your research on the flexitarian diet option of people, I think is a good observation. And that is where a lot of people are trying to balance their diet pattern as much as they're trying to find a balance between work and life. So it's the same thing there as well. And definitely, if you are to look at it in this COVID lockdown period where majority of the people have remained home and have not been able to have outdoor activity, the diet and nutrition control or the balancing of the same has become even more critical. So I think definitely the plant-based diets and proteins are going to be the way forward. And also some of the areas where we feel will be on towards plant-based meat options, which are there in the East, quite effectively being marketed, but could also be coming in India for the future as well as a meat replacement. Nazneen, I must compliment you with the sports nutrition. It was interesting to hear for the first time as to what the athletes are facing the challenges. and your survey about on the targeted market, how they are being targeted with free sponsorships and this, but probably they get missed out on the knowledge dissemination at times, and they get on with the wrong kind of a supplement. I think a very valid finding, and that the majority of the athletes are consuming between 1 to 3 different supplements is also an eye opener, where probably one would think they're consuming only one particular kind of a supplement. And then I think your survey and study, what you mentioned about the kind of nutritional sources, what they're looking at, in which your protein, glutamine, and the other aspects covered up the bulk of it in terms of the supplements, what they are looking at. And I think the whole view about doping, anti-doping, again coming to the wrong supplement, what has been added onto the product, the source of manufacture or the person who's given the supplement is not very regulated or very clear, so that leads to problems as well. And definitely, I think putting in perspective the Indian heroes and the Indian herbs, I think is a great way to look going forward, because all these natural Indian occurring products are the ones which I think for age old, a lot of our people in India have consumed. And I think today also in this challenging COVID time, what is being prescribed is out of the, again, Ayurveda studies, is that things like haldi and the other dushandas and all that, cinnamons, are all going to help boost your immunity. So I think going forward, these Indian herbs will definitely find a lot of application in their products, which the industry makes. Your comments about injuries and the recovery, I think definitely for recovery, there could be some specific targeted nutrition being developed for sportsmen to be able to recover. And it was interesting to see that you talk about immune health, though the athletes don't really worry about it so much. But I think that's again a thing to really look and think about, to bridge that gap and ensure that, again, yes, what you mentioned, the 95% of the athletes are coming in from a much rural background and a much more economically weaker background, so they don't get the ability to get that perfect nutrition. So I think to make some of the products cost effective so that the entire sports and athletic community can benefit from it would be a good way to go forward. And I would just like to add up, there is, if you would be aware, I think in the whole sports nutrition, now I think even CBSE, the Central Board of Secondary Education, is also putting up sports assessment as part of the curriculum for school-going children starting from 4th standard, where they will be assessed on their athletic and sports abilities as well, in terms of their diet and nutrition counseling as well. So that's again a great opportunity to be there and to look at it. Divya, I think again from Manna Foods, we have seen your products in the South market, very targeted, very specific, and looking at both on the staple side and onto the value-added products. Your view that the gaps, what you find, and the opportunities in some of the product ranges in terms of pasta, noodles, vermicellis, I think is well taken. So there's definitely, we find an opportunity where these products could be fortified and nutrition provided. But now if I look at, I think also the other side is about what you highlighted, that some of the claims which people are making on their products and brands are probably not in alignment to what is there actually on the label. And in terms of the multi-grain or the clinical studies, what you're mentioning, and your idea about, now I would to say, on the nutrient quotient, on the health claim, on the health index of a particular food product, a good idea, but I think it's a long way ahead. We in FSSAI are now already coming on with FOP labeling, front of pack labeling, try to identify HFS as foods, etc. The whole thing here would be, according to me, would be the consumer education on reading the label. because still what we had surveyed at one time, and we found that it's still probably only 15% of the consumers who really read a label before buying a product. So I think consumer education really needs to go a long way to be able to have a well-educated consumer who is able to understand what is there on the label. So I think that's how I would like to summarize. And thank you, everyone, and thank you, ASSOCHAM, for organizing this wonderful event again. We've had very good participation from India and overseas, and just hoping now we get back to normal, where rather than webinars, we can have more face-to-face interactions over a cup of coffee or a meal. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nirupama. Back to you.
Great, sir. Thank you. Thank you once again, everyone, to Vikram Kelkar, sir, and Arunalji for collaborating with us. Thank you, all the panelists. We'll be taking you on board again for the next opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Pai. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.